Ohio State has more depth than in recent years, and it's going to create real competition this spring and a more complete team.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Wednesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes. I'm Jay Stevens, and during today's show, we will discuss a big award that Christian Alliegro recently got during spring practice, as well as some elite company Brock Boyd joined earlier this week. But first, Ryan Day got behind the podium on Tuesday, and he started talking about Julian Sand and Chris Henry Jr. and some of the expectations for the Buckeyes this year. But he also touched on the depth that the Buckeyes have across the board, not just at quarterback, not just at running back, but across the board. Ryan Day discussed and was open about the depth the team has, and that's a major asset for Ohio State this year, where you're looking at the Buckeyes. Yeah, they're replacing a lot of guys from a really good team a year ago. They went to the portal to get some key quality players added to this roster. But even though you go to the portal, you aren't really sure sometimes of what you're going to get. Ethan Onyanwa, for example, not a bad player, but he just wasn't good enough for Ohio State. All at the same time, you get a Vic Cutler, good at his previous school, once again, not ready for Buckeye football. But then you can go out there and get guys like a Caleb Downs, get a guy like a Seth McLaughlin that are ready for big-time football, and the gamble works out. Well, Ryan Day gambled. Ryan Day went out there and tried to find players that were quality players in the portal. Now, he also did a great job in the recruiting in the high school level. So it's not just the talent that he got from the portal, it's also the quality talent he got from the high school level. You add that to the returning players from last year's team, and literally across the board. I 100% agree with Ryan Day that there's more depth across the board with this team. Think about it. Over the past few years with Ryan Day leading the team, you know that there's a good starting quarterback, maybe some questionable players that are behind him, that if the starter goes out, you're not confident things will be okay. Running back, you may have one good running back, but do you have three or four? Sometimes that's a question mark. On the O-line and D-lines, two areas that it's very hard to build depth, what you're going to find is on the Buckeyes offensive line, they might have a backup five that can start at other schools around the country. On the D-line, it's still going to be the same 8-man rotation, but those backups could be starters out of the big-time schools in college football. And that's a massive benefit. And that just goes to show that Ryan Day knows what he's doing, but also people want to leave where they are previously to come play at Ohio State. You have multiple Alabama transfers for the second time in Ryan Day's tenure. You have a Florida State transfer, a young man that declared for the NFL draft, came back to college football, transferred to Ohio State, a Duke transfer who was an all-ACC player. I mean, you're getting players, Christian Alliegro as well, going from one Big Ten school to another. Ryan Day is getting players that most of the time you figure they're either going to go to the NFL or stay where they are. No, he understands the system. And if Ryan Day understands the system, he knows we have to keep our eyes out and keep looking around the country for players that can make us better right now, because that's the goal, right? You want to make sure that when you bring people in, it's not a 3 or 4 year project, but it's someone that can help you provide an immediate impact for the Buckeyes. I firmly believe, when I look at Christian Alliegro, who we'll discuss later on in this show, Christian Alliegro is going to be someone that's going to be a big piece of the pie for Ohio State. Quay Russaw, James Smith, I am maybe higher on James Smith now than I was when he originally transferred to Ohio State, because I just wasn't sure when he first came down what he was going to be. I watched more film, same with Quay Russaw. I'm higher on both of those guys because I believe they can start this year and they can be all Big Ten players. I mean, that's the bar that has been set. If you're a starting edge, be an all Big Ten guy. If you're starting at nose, be an all Big Ten guy. If you're following in Tyleik Williams' footsteps, and then also on the heels of Tyleik Williams and Kate McDonald, you know the standard is pretty high. And that's something you have to live up to. But also, when you're trying to live up to that, Ryan Day knows when you put a team together like this that has really good players from the portal, really good players from high school, great returning players from a year ago, that's going to lead to some really intense competition during spring practice. And I love competition in spring ball. leading up to spring practice, we discussed some of the position battles that would be there, and they all weren't for starting positions. I mean, we literally had Tavien St. Clair and Justin Barton battling for QB2. I think right now it's clearly Tavien St. Clair. He's taking the necessary steps to solidify that. Now, I don't think it's necessary. It's already been handed to him, but I don't think Ryan Day has him throw the football at the pro day if he is not the Buckeye starting quarterback. So just trying to look at what's happening, put two and two together to formulate a great and easy summary to what's currently going on. But all across the team, battling to be the fourth or fifth or sixth receiver. You're battling to be the starting right guard or left guard or starting center. You're battling to be in the two deep on either side of the ball. You're battling to be the kicker for Ohio State. There's competition all over the place. And if I'm a coach, if I'm Ryan Day, I try to do this every offseason, not just right now. I'm trying to do this currently and heading into the 2026 season, and then 2027, same thing. 2028 and beyond, you have the same formula, and you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Now, you have to make sure that it fits the current model of what's going on in college football, because collegiate athletics is different now than it was when Ryan Day got promoted to be the head coach of the Buckeyes. While it's different, Ryan Day understands you must adapt or you'll die. Not literally die, like Ryan Day's life is not going to be over, but you'll get trampled over. You'll get ran over because you didn't adapt to the changes in college football. Think about it. I was recently looking at, a clip on the Twitter or X, whichever one you want to call it. And it was Chip Patterson talking about Clemson and how Clemson is one of those teams that's kind of gotten past. People don't look at Clemson like they did 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, even 10 years ago. They don't look at Clemson the same way because Clemson under Dabo Swinney hasn't adapted to the way collegiate athletics are currently, and they're getting ran over. Now, there are still going to be teams that do things illegally, no matter what the NCAA says or the judges say. There will be teams that go outside of what they're supposed to do to get the upper hand. I literally saw a report, on Tuesday afternoon of Tennessee hosting a basketball player on a visit whose intention is to go into the portal, but the portal isn't open yet. So take that for what it is. There are going to be teams out there that's a report, allegedly. I'm not saying it's happening. Allegedly that's what Tennessee is doing. So that's where we are right now in the sport. You have to adapt, and if you don't, you die. But while adapting, you have to make sure your team is more well-rounded and it has more depth across the board. There are a couple of kickers at Ohio State that can compete to kick this year. I think the Baylor transfer is going to kick, names at the top of my head, but you have a couple of guys there that are going to be able to compete to kick this year. Same thing goes with the long snapper, with the right tackle, with the backup defensive end. It goes for everybody. There are going to be people out there competing to get on the field. And while they're competing with a team that's more well-rounded, it's going to make the coaches' jobs easier and also harder, but also it's going to make the team a whole lot better. It should make the team a whole lot better heading into the 2026 season. Speaking of making the team a whole lot better, Brock Boyd's commitment to Ohio State, signing with the Buckeyes, and then really showing out during spring ball has been a breath of fresh air as the freshman receiver recently joined some elite company. We will discuss the company he joined and the impact of it after the break. This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and clear swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures merchant and swap firm. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. It's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you. Once again, head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Thank you for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Get your first month of the Everyday Club for free when you use code MARCH. You'll unlock ad-free episodes and entry into your private listener group chat where I'm hanging out daily. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com to claim your free month. Ohio State's been very, very fortunate under Brian Hartline to recruit some elite receivers, not just recruit them, get them to sign with the Buckeyes, and many of them finish their collegiate careers as Ohio State players. Well, one of the things that has been a lot of fun to watch this year is some of the young receivers at Ohio State. How they work under Cortez Hankton, how Cortez Hankton is preaching certain things that will make them better, and they're responding to it very, very well, which could be no surprise that a receiver was the first player to lose their black stripe in this year's freshman class. But you may not think it would have been a young man by the name of Brock Boyd. You may have thought it would have been Chris Henry Jr., but that is correct. Brock Boyd is the first player in the Buckeyes 2026 recruiting class to lose his black stripe. And I mean, it's I don't know where to start with Brock Boyd. He's fast. Ryan Day talked about him during the presser as well. The type of route runner he is, the elusiveness, his desire to simply do the things that are needed to get on the field. And for him to be the first guy in this class, this is a class has a lot of really good players in it. Hats off to him. Hats off to freshman Brock Boyd for being the first person in this recruiting class to lose his black stripe. And this is just a sign of great things to come. It could be a sign that he's going to be a special teams player this year. He could be the 5th or 6th receiver. I don't know. But if this is an indicator of that, so be it. Here's what Ryan Day had to say during his presser about Brock Boyd. I think you'll like what the head coach had to say. Quote, he knows how to run a route. He's serious about it. He can play multiple positions. He's got quick twitch. He can change direction. He's got strong hands. I'm excited to see where his career goes, end quote. Now, as I'm thinking about it, I heard Ryan Day talk about this earlier on Tuesday. I started to think about what Ryan Day wants from a receiver. Does he just want an X receiver that can only be on the outside, that can just be that guy, be the number one guy? Or does he prefer to have players that can be Swiss Army knives, do a little bit of everything, that are good route runners, that can be physical when they need to be, that can be elite blockers? I think Ryan Day prefers the latter over the former. Now, sometimes you need the former. Like, Jeremiah Smith is special. He can not only be your outside X receiver, your number one go-to guy, but also he can line up all over the field and get it done. I don't know how often they'll line up Chris Henry in the slot, because I think that would be, well, like it could be a great benefit for the Buckeyes. I just don't see them doing it very often when there might be better options already on the team to make that move. But speaking of the elite company, by date, this is one of the earliest times a player lost their black stripe since the tradition started in 2012 when Urban Meyer took over for the Buckeyes. I believe, if I get my dates correct, Austin Mack was the previous holder of the earliest freshman to lose their black stripes. That was in the 2016 recruiting class. He also lost his on March 31st, just like Brock Boyd. And then it gets a little bit interesting because there are a lot of players early on. They didn't lose it until the fall. There was a string of guys losing it in the spring. And then there were some other players losing theirs in the fall. The next thing you know, you get Carnell Tate losing his on March 25th in 2023. JJ losing his on March 21st. Jeremiah Smith, that is, in 2024. And so JJ has the record for the earliest by date. But Brock Boyd losing his black stripe in March, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I didn't have it on my bingo card. It is not because we have been a lot of places having to be back here in the home studio recording this show, but we've been unfortunately traveling to places we didn't think we were going to travel. My wife and I were going out, and so even if we were just back at home like normal, I don't think this would have been on my bingo card because my guess, and I think we touched on this on Tuesday's Daily Show, that I thought Chris Henry would have lost his black stripe, being one of the first to lose their black stripe at Ohio State, not Brock Boyd, which goes to make me think that we have spent a lot of time talking about Kyle Parker and Devin McEwen. Is there an opportunity for Brock Boyd to jump one of those two in the depth chart? I mean, I don't think so, but I wouldn't say no, if that makes sense. I don't think there's a scenario that I don't think he's jumping Kyle Parker. I think Kyle Parker has made a big name for himself. I don't think he's jumping Devin McEwen. But if it happens, I wouldn't be shocked. But I still don't think it's going to happen. I had to cover all the bases right there so y'all know that I'm thinking about, yeah, it could happen, but I still don't think it's going to. And if it's just this one player one-on-one, I still don't think it's going to happen because I still think Cortez Hankton and Ryan Day value the experience McEwen and Parker provide to this room, as well as what they provide for the team overall, for the offense. But it could happen. What did happen is Brock Boyd lost his black stripe. And this just, as one man said years ago, the tip of the iceberg. It's simply only the beginning. Now, when you hit an iceberg, you know, if you just get a little bit, you're going to see a little bit shaken up. You're going to see a little bit of movement. But if you get deeper and you hit more and more and more, you're going to see that iceberg shake up a little bit, but also you're going to feel the effects of it. I say that thinking about the Titanic, and I saw a meme recently, or just I think it was a quote that someone put on the Instagram saying that the Titanic was just a movie about an 84-year-old woman talking about her love story. And so I don't know, but that's the thought that came into my head because I recently saw that on the Instagram, and here we are, James behind the mic in his home. Happy to be back home with the family, all four of us. It's been if y'all knew the journey, I'll say it on the show eventually. If y'all know the journey my wife and I have been on over the past week and a half, y'all would understand why we are happy to be back home. I'm also happy to have Brock Boyd as a receiver at Ohio State. Looking forward to seeing his growth, seeing him play in the spring game, and seeing where he might fit with this team. I don't see a scenario where he doesn't play this year. Could he be a returner? It's possible because I don't think Ryan Day wants to put his best players deep. Even if they are the best returners, I still don't see Ryan Day putting a Jeremiah Smith back there. He might still put Ennis back there, but I can see that changing. Devin McEwen, put him back there. Let that boy carry the rock and take it from one end zone to the other. Brock Boyd, phenomenal football player, made a big name for himself already to be the first freshman in the 2026 recruiting class to lose his black stripe. Recently, we had a black stripe alert earlier this week, and there were two players we touched on. The same thing has happened today because another player has lost their black stripe this year. This one's a transfer that plays defense. We will dive into who that player is and the impact of this losing in the black stripe after the break. This episode is brought to you by Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open when the pressure's on and you need the right hire. This is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In a minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is the job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and for making this show your first listen of the day. As always, Locked on Buckeyes is a part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. My family is now a family of four. It's not a thing that happened a day ago, but a little over a week and a half ago, my second son joined us and entered the world. He is a young man that sleeps a lot. He has his night day flipped. He was up till 4 in the morning one day, and man, that was a night. But also, it's fun to have all four of us under the same roof and starting our lives together. Man, it's just fun. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. Years ago, I thought that I would like to be married. I would like to have kids. Didn't know when that would happen, but when it happened, it was a bang, boom, just a domino effect, and things just happened very, very quickly for my wife and I. And here we are, four kids, two people, two kids, four people in the house. And we're very, very happy because of it to have that grouping there. Well, the Buckeyes are very happy to have Christian Alliegro on the team. He is a transfer from Wisconsin, a linebacker that is going to be, I'm telling y'all, he's probably going to start this year. Some people are already knocking him and saying, oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. You better not do that. You better not say that it's going to be Alliegro over Riley Pettijohn, but I will. Because as the football team tweeted out, they said, Black Stripe alert, the LB Room adds Thor to the Brotherhood. Welcome at Christian Alley 7. So I didn't know the nickname was Thor, so I heard someone say that Brock Boyd's nickname is White Lightning. I would love to see White Lightning in the scarlet and gray on the college football Saturday playing football, because I think that'll be a fun thing to watch. But this is huge. There have been, I believe, 3 players that have lost their black stripes that were transfers: Kyle Parker, Earl Little Jr., and now you have Christian Alliegro. I don't think it's a fluke. I don't think that was a mistake. I believe that all 3 of those transfers have already made a name for themselves and have taken the necessary steps during winter workouts and during spring ball to set themselves up to not only start at Ohio State, but to be big-time players in the fall. The Buckeyes linebacker room is pretty deep. I think it was a couple of days ago, maybe last week, we touched on the fact that there may be 5 guys that can play this year. I don't truly think 5. I think 4 could be legitimate players this year. Peyton Pierce, Christian Alliegro. I think it was 5. Riley Pettijohn, TJ Alford, Garrett Stover. That is 5. Sorry, I thought Spencer Johnson was the name that I was thinking about at the time, and I forgot the Alford and Pettijohns and Stovers along with the other 2 linebackers. So there's a real scenario that Ohio State has a very versatile group of linebackers, and Christian Alliegro sees that. He knows why he came to Ohio State. He sees the competition that's around him. Remember, the depth that the team has is in large part because the Buckeyes are able to bring in players like Christian Alliegro from another really talented school and a program that's really full of football tradition, and they produce a lot of big-time linebackers. Say, oh, no. You can play whatever. You can come play for us now and start now. Raise your draft stock now so you can be a big-time player in the future in the National Football League. These are things on the table for Christian Alliegro. And now all eyes are going to be on James Laurinaitis to see what he does with this unit. I would be perfectly fine if you start your 2 guys, the Peyton Pierce, Christian Alliegro. Pierce is the mic with the green dot on its helmet to have the coach-to-player communication. Allegro's your will, occasionally lining up on the outside, but I think he's primarily going to be an off-ball linebacker. Then you can figure out how you want to rotate between Riley Pettijohn, TJ Alford, Garrett Stover. Figuring out Garrett Stover is going to be interesting because I think he gets glossed over, but there's a reason why he was an Iron Buckeye. I say glossed over by the fans. those that are outside the program. I don't believe Garrett Stover gets glossed over by the coaches inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center because they know a player and a dude when they see one, and Garrett Stover has the opportunity to be a dude. I'm looking forward to this defense. The closer we get to the spring game, the closer we get to the tip-off, Bronx sport, I'm thinking college basketball. The closer we get to the kickoff, there we go, of the upcoming season, I'm getting more and more excited about this defense because I think the makeup of this is going to be more of a traditional-looking defense that Matt Patricia is looking for. Not just a big body up front, a big, quick twitch human being at the nose that can do a lot of damage. Your 3-tech, a little bit heavier, not 280, more of a 295, 305. That's probably the range we're going to be, but also a little bit quicker, a little bit more versatile. The guys on the edge, they are more of the new age, not just a 3-4 defensive end where you're 280 pounds. You have really good length, but also you're pretty strong as well. No. Quick twitch. Maybe you drop some LBs down to 235. And what are you trying to do? Set the edge, create some havoc, get you back to the quarterback, and take him down. That's the goal. I think Patricia's ability to quickly adapt to college football and use his brain to go out there and find players that can help Ohio State be huge this year, it's amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. Alliegro can't play the mic. I don't want to say that Alliegro cannot play the mic this year. I do see a scenario if somebody goes down, multiple players to go down. I do see a scenario where Alliegro already has the trust of the players in the picture that they put on the Twitter. When Christian Alliegro got his black stripe, he took a picture right next to Peyton Pierce. I don't think that was a fluke. I think that was just a sign of that's the duo you have to look at and say, we got to work together to get this thing done. And they have the right man coaching them and leading them to get for them to gain trust in each other to make sure that they are the dynamic duo at linebacker that Ohio State needs. On the heels of Sonny Styles and Alvaro Reeves leaving Ohio State to go play football in the NFL, they're pretty big shoes to fill. If anyone look back and think about the strong lineage of linebackers that Ohio State has produced, I always go back to Ryan Shazier to be one of those linebackers. You can say Bobby Carpenter, A.J. Hawk, James Laurinaitis, Andy Katzenmeyer. I always butcher his last name. Forgive me. Help me understand it. I can sound a lot of things out. His last name, as I sound it out, as I say it, sometimes it just doesn't sit right. But the way I say it doesn't sit right, not his last name itself. Really enjoy what they've done with this defense, the future of it, how versatile they can be is very, very clear when you watch them play. But also, while it's clear, the possibilities might be endless as far as what Patricia can do with these guys. They haven't said who's starting or who's not starting. I don't. A lot of people don't have the ability. I say a lot. There's some people that do have the ability to watch practice, and so you just gotta wait and see. No one likes the waiting game. My wife and I had to do the waiting game recently, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. There were things that are outside of our control that dictated why we had to wait as long as we did, and it wasn't fun. No one likes playing the waiting game, but playing the waiting game can be good. It can lead to more competition. It can lead to players and coaches being challenged, and the coaches challenging the players to get better. And you get to see how players respond right now. Well, they have to wait. No one likes waiting, but waiting can help this team be the best team it can be. Thank you for tuning in to Locked on Buckeyes. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked on Buckeyes so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked on Buckeyes ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked on Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked on College Basketball. You can follow me on any social media platform or jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on your hump day. We'll see you next time.